Hello and good morning. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to this, the 5th Berlin Climate Security Conference, BCSC 2023. My name is Janani Vivekananda, and I'm the Head of Program for Climate Diplomacy and Security at adelphi, based in Berlin. Now, I say it's the 5th BCSC in Berlin, but it's actually the 6th ever Berlin Climate Security Conference and the 2nd to take place this year, because to ensure that this conversation around climate, peace and security remains truly global, this year saw the inaugural BCSC Nairobi, which took place in Nairobi ahead of the Africa Climate Summit in July, with our esteemed co-hosts from the Kenyan Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs. So I'm so pleased that so many of you from around the world could join us here in Berlin to continue and advance many of the really important themes which arose in Nairobi, so that we can unpack them further and carry them through to COP28 and beyond. So last year's conference looked at multilateral responses to climate, peace and security, and really practical ways to advance context-informed action to address some of these risks on the ground. And in an important step to walk the talk, we launched the Climate for Peace initiative, C4P. The initiative now has over 28 country members, and we continue to grow. Now this year, we are taking concrete strides forward, and we're focusing on what we can do now to get ahead of the cascading risks posed by climate conflict and the various other drivers of these compound crises that are facing societies today. BCSC 2023 is entitled Building a Climate for Peace, to reflect the imperative that climate action and sustainable peace go hand in hand. And with no time to lose to accelerate climate action ahead of COP28, but also acknowledging that this climate action has to, at the very least, do no harm in fragile contexts, and perhaps even more, it could have a positive impact on building peace. It has to be peace positive. This day will focus on 3 strategic goals. Our first goal is advancing climate solutions that are fit for purpose for fragile communities, identifying ways to promote more accessible and conflict-sensitive climate solutions, including around climate financing for fragile and conflict-affected communities. The second strategic goal is around tools, making sure we have the right tools and knowledge. So identifying ways to promote more to promote the right kind of capacities and resources to advance the integration of climate and conflict-sensitive analysis and understanding into the policies, practice, and operations that we want to see on the ground. And the third is a really pragmatic goal. It's around incentives, to really get to the real political and institutional levers which can move us forward, to move us beyond the rhetoric, the declarations, the high-level policy statements, to actually understand what are the incentives we need to move us towards strengthening the synergies that we know are necessary between the sectors, regions, and disciplines to advance climate solutions. And before we get going with our excellent sessions ahead, I'm really delighted to introduce Markus Hicken, who is the Director for Energy, Diplomacy, Climate and Security at the German Federal Foreign Office, who will share some opening remarks. Markus, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 5th Berlin Climate and Security Conference. It's my pleasure to welcome you, and as you can see, I'm not Jennifer Morgan, so it's my pleasure also to convey to all of you her greetings. Our State Secretary and Special Envoy for International Climate Action is unfortunately sick today and can therefore not be here with us. As we just heard, when we had our first Berlin Climate and Security Conference, the security implications of the climate crisis were starting to be evident. Now, unfortunately, 5 years later, many of you face already the devastating impacts of the climate crisis around the globe. unprecedented droughts, heat waves, and wildfires. We know if we cannot change course today, if we remain on a 2.7-degree trajectory, in 2070, a third of the world's population could live in inhabitable regions. And just a few weeks ago, we had extreme floodings in Libya, hitting a population already suffering from violence, poverty, instability, and taking thousands of people's lives. Last year, Pakistan and South Africa experienced flooding with tremendous losses and damages. We have clear scientific and empirical proof on the climate security risks. And this alarming data needs to guide us in shaping our policies and activities, because ultimately, where we talk about climate security risks, human lives are at stake. But we are working hard to improve the situation. Let me give you two examples. In Benue State in Nigeria, between 2020 and 2022, violent clashes killed hundreds of people as Konisha and Oju farmers and herders were locked in conflicts over resources and water use. And just 2 months ago, on August 14th, the two communities in Benue State signed an agreement on sharing water, farmland, forests, and other resources. And these negotiations were supported by our Climate for Peace network and part of the German-led Weathering Risk Initiative. So I want to thank our partners, HD, Humanitarian Dialogue Nigeria, also present here today, who brokered this agreement by providing their mediation expertise, by convening community meetings and workshops, as well as by providing capacity building. Second example, within the Foreign Office, we are developing a common stabilization and climate security portfolio and engaging in anticipatory humanitarian action. So the climate and security advisors in United Nations missions are part of this portfolio. These advisors have become so instrumental in integrating climate and environmental aspects in peace building that the model is replicated in many other UN and EU missions. So these are just two concrete examples of needs-based creative climate security action. But we need more of this. So by the end of the Berlin Climate and Security Conference today, I hope that you will each take home many more concrete solutions that we all can magnify and spread. The German government recently this summer adopted its national security strategy. And in this strategy, the government defines the fight against the climate crisis as the central task of our century. And the strategy makes clear we need all hands on deck to tackle the climate crisis. We need first responders. We need climate negotiators, peace building and humanitarian workers, military and security specialists, energy and agricultural experts. So the Berlin Climate and Security Conference is about thinking out of the box and about cross-cutting approaches. It is about the exchange of lessons learned, the discussions on specific steps that we need to take, and about testing of new ideas so that we can teach each other, that we can learn from each other, that we can scale up our efforts, which is more urgent than ever. In order to enhance practical implementation on the ground and to do this learning from each other, we founded the Climate for Peace initiative at the last year's conference, together with many of you. So now we are 28 members, and the 28 members will today share highlights of their findings and experiences. So, thank you for being here and joining this important discussion. And you know what makes me hopeful? It makes me hopeful to see so many actors in this room who are working for the same goal at different levels, from different constellations, different angles. Thank you, Adelphi, and all the partners who co-organize this year's conference. So let's make the most of this conference as a space for discussion and discussions that are really self-critical, honest, and open. The lives of so many are at stake. Thank you very much.